Hey guys, welcome back again to another Tech Guru video. Today I'm doing my first ever video on the application Pixelmator. It is a Photoshop type application. It's a photo editor. It also allows you to do a lot of design elements, and I'm going to be doing a basic overview of the design tools and just an overview of the program in general. And I plan on doing weekly videos on this application, on tutorials on how to go about using some of the tools and just some tips and tricks about the application in general. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. If not, just wait till the next one comes out. So Pixelmator, as I had already stated, is somewhat like Photoshop. It is a photo editor. It is a lot cheaper than Photoshop. It's $29.99 right now, but normally it retails for $60 or $59.99. So let's go ahead and get into the specific tools. So as you can see here, you have your toolbox over here on the left. This box here contains all of the tools that you will be using within a project, and I'm going to go over those here in a second. Over here to the right, you will see the layers panel. This is just like the layers panel within Photoshop. You can move layers around by clicking and holding and dragging those there until you see a green line, and that will move the layers. You can right-click on those layers to create a new layer, to duplicate that layer or delete that layer. You can add mask and do all the good stuff like you can in Photoshop with layers. You can group layers, merge all the layers, all within the layers panel there. You can also add or delete layers by clicking on the little addition symbol here to add a layer and the minus symbol here to remove a layer. As with Photoshop, they have blending modes here, so if you want to change the blending mode of a layer, you will just select that specific layer and then go to blending here and then click on the drop down menu, and you can select all of the different blending modes that Pixelmator makes available to you. So all of that can be done within the layers panel over here. Down below here, you'll see your effects browser. If any of these boxes are not open, you can always go to window and then bring all of these to front. And then if you want to view specific boxes, you can go to view and then which options you want there over to your right. And you can always go into preferences here and then look at the different tools here, and you can add or subtract tools within your toolbox over here. So if I want to add my hand tool, I can just click on that and then click and drag and then add that tool to my toolbar, and I now have an additional tool there. So I can do all of that here, and then it gives me the different categories of tools that I can click and select, and I can just add those tools by just clicking and holding and dragging those over to my toolbar. And I do that again by going to Pixelmator Preferences and then go to Tools right here, and that will bring it up. So enough about that stuff. Let's go ahead and get into the different tools that we will be using. The first tool obviously is your Move tool. You click on that tool. It is the little arrow there. It allows you to select specific layers and objects on your project and obviously move those around. So you click and hold, and that object is getting moved around on the layer. So that's how you move stuff and edit stuff and just select things in general, okay? Resize text boxes and do that kind of thing. Next, we have our Magic Wand tool. It's pretty self-explanatory in that it's a wand that's magic. No, I'm just kidding with you. The Magic Wand tool is actually a tool that we use that will select specific areas in a project, okay? And without you having to go and select certain areas by yourself, you can actually use the Magic Wand tool to select those areas for you. So I have an image here that I'm going to pull up, and then if I go right here on this image and I select it with the Magic Wand tool, as you can see, as I click and hold, it will, automatically start selecting areas that it thinks that I'm wanting to select, okay? So now it's selecting the blue there, and then if I want to, I can always go and click and move that area around that I have selected, and then if I do not want that selection any longer, I can hit Command D, and that will deselect everything for me. So again, you just click and hold, and as I'm holding, the more I hold, and the more I drag out, the higher the tolerance is and the more area that it's going to select. So again, it's not always going to be perfect, but when trying to select large areas of an image or a project, the Magic Wand tool is a great tool to use. So again, Command D will deselect that now. Back over here to your tools, you will see 4 different tools here: the rectangular marquee tool, the elliptical, the lasso tool, and the polygonal lasso tool. These tools are all used to select certain areas of an image or a project, okay? But it's done in different shapes. So if you grab the rectangular marquee tool, obviously you're going to select a shape within a rectangle. If you select the elliptical marquee tool, the same thing, except you'll be selecting an area in the shape of a circle or an ellipse, okay? I'm going to go ahead and deselect that. Now, the lasso tool allows you to actually draw your own selection out. So as I'm drawing this circle here, it's allowing me to go ahead and create my own selection with the lasso tool. Next, we have our polygonal lasso tool, and this right here is pretty much a tool that allows you to click, and then once you click in other areas, it's going to allow you to create a selection by clicking and then completing your selection by doing that there. So that's all of your selection tools. Next, we have our crop tool. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up our image one more time here. So here is our image. I'm going to grab our crop tool. Up in the top here, you'll see all of the different options for all of the tools that you're going to be using. So for the crop tool, you'll see constrain none. So I can go ahead and select how I want to constrain the image, and then I can either hide it or I can delete it. So with the crop, you can either just hide it from you temporarily, or you can delete it completely from the image. So I'm going to go ahead and choose delete. So I click and hold, and that's where I go ahead and highlight the selection of the image that I want to crop. So let's say I want to move my crop selection around. I'll click anywhere on the cropped area, and I can move that anywhere I want to select the cropped area. Once I am done, up here in the upper right-hand corner, I will click on the blue crop button, and that now has cropped what I wanted it to crop, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and undo that now to take it back to the original image. So now that we've done that with the crop tool, I'm going to show you the next tool, which is our slice tool. So the slice tool is, pretty much what it says. It's very self-explanatory. It allows you to slice certain areas of an image or of a project and save those to your computer. And if you go up here in the upper section of your project, you will see to choose an image format. So you can save it as JPEG, PNG, a GIF, whatever you want right here, and you can also change the quality of that as well as the background color. So it also shows you a little preview up here in the upper left-hand corner. That's enough of the slice tool. Next, we have our eraser tool. So this is very self-explanatory. It erases stuff. So if you click and hold anywhere on that there, I'll go ahead and click on the background and I start to erase. It's going to erase to a transparent background, obviously, because I am using, the background there. So I'm going to go ahead and undo that. But the eraser tool just erases things. It's very self-explanatory. Next, we have our paintbrush tool. Now, this is a very important tool, obviously. You'll be using it a good bit. Up here in the upper left-hand column, you can click here, and this will bring up your brushes panel. So I'm going to go ahead and drag this over here. With the brushes panel, I am able to go in and select the type of brush that I want. So let's say I want this brush here, which is number 30 there. And then if I want to increase the size of my brush, I will just click on the right bracket key on my keyboard. And if I want to decrease the size, I will click on the left bracket key. You can choose what color the brush will be painting on by this little color right up here. It says click to choose color, and then you can go here and choose your color that way. So I'm going to choose a nice dark blue color, and then once I click on the screen here, I now have a nice paintbrush stroke that I'm using on my image. To undo anything within Pixelmator, just hit Command Z, and that will undo what you have just done. Again, you can click on this little gear icon in the brushes panel to select different brushes. So there's different types of brushes: abstract, artistic, grunge. So I'm going to click on the grunge brushes there, and it will bring up all of the grunge brushes that I have currently on my Pixelmator. And then I'll click here on one of them, and then I can click and hold, and then I'll be paintbrushing with that specific brush. I can change the opacity of that brush by going up here in the upper left-hand corner and dragging the opacity down left to take it down and right to take it up. So that's the brush tool, and I'm going to go ahead and close out of that now. Next, we have our gradient tool. As you see in the background here of this project, I have a nice multicolor gradient in the background. By clicking on this here, it will show or hide the gradients palette. So if you click on that, it will then bring up your gradients palette, which is right here. The one that I have selected is already a preset, which is kind of this rainbow gradient from the center there, but I could have chosen any one of them. So I can click on this one here, which is another multicolored gradient, and it shows me all of the different colors that are within that gradient. Of course, you can change each individual color by clicking on that color and selecting it. So if you want to change the individual color, click on the little palette that color is on, left click, and then change that color. If you want to apply that gradient, click anywhere on your background and start dragging it on your image exactly the direction that you want your gradient to go. So in my case, I clicked right here in the center and I drug it all the way to the upper right hand corner just like that, and that applied that nice gradient to my image. I'm going to go ahead and undo that now and undo that gradient, but that is how you work with gradients. A linear gradient is left to right or up, that up to from the top to the bottom, and a radial gradient is one that goes from the center, and an angle gradient is very self-explanatory, is at an angle. So that's a little bit about the gradient tool. Now the next few tools I'm going to go over briefly. So the next few tools we have here are Sponge Tool, our Smudge Tool. Those two tools are used best with images. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up my image that I have already saved here within Pixelmator. So if you go to the Sponge Tool, these are just neat tools that you can play around with that will apply certain effects to your image. The Sponge Tool will actually take things in your image and kind of not really distort them, but it'll kind of put a little rougher patch on them. And you can actually change the brush type again with all of the tools that I'm about to show you, as well as the desaturation and saturation, as well as the flow. The flow up here will be the strength of the brush. So this will be how much of that effect do you want on your image, okay? Now the next tool that we're going to look at is the Smudge Tool. The Smudge Tool does exactly what it says it does. If you look here, I can click on the clouds and smudge it into that blue. So this right here will just apply an effect of a smudge. So this pretty much is like you're taking your finger on wet paint and you're smudging it on your image. So I can actually combine a little bit of the image and it makes it, look a little weird. So if you want to apply some crazy smudge effects on your image, you can do that with the Smudge Tool there. Now the Dodge and the Burn Tool. The Dodge tool actually lightens specific areas of an image. So if there's an image that has a little too much of a dark tint to it, you can actually click on this tool here. So as you see here, I'm taking the tool and I'm going up here to the sky and I'm actually lightening the sky. So as you can see, that is a much lighter blue than the original image itself, and all of this is being done with the Dodge tool. Now I'm going to go ahead and undo that because that's not what I want to do. And again, with this tool, I can just click and hold down here in the dark areas of this grass, and I can actually lighten up this grass to be, so it looks like the sun is reflecting down on it a little better right here on the left side of this image. And I can do all this within the Dodge tool there. So I'm clicking and I'm holding and I'm painting just like I would with a paintbrush, and I'm lightening up the grass down here on the bottom of this image, all by using the Dodge tool. So that's a great way to add different effects and different, illusions into your project. Now the next tool, the Burn Tool, does the complete opposite. It takes a light area of an image and it makes it dark. So as you see now, I'm coloring over here in the back of my image and it's making that image darker. So I'm going to go ahead and undo that now. So the Burn Tool darkens and the Dodge tool lightens. The Clone Stamp tool will actually take things, so you click an area that you want to clone. So in my case, I'm going to go ahead and click on, let's say, the blue clouds there. So what I'm going to do is I've had taken a blue cloud, the area up here, and I'm going to paint that blue area now here. So what I did is I took a clone stamp of this area up here, and then all I would have to do is just click and hold now, and I can paint with that area that I did. So I'm going to go ahead and undo all of that and show you one more time. So if you go here and you select the Clone Stamp tool, what you can do is go up here, and if you click this little button here that says click to select an area to clone with, I'll click on that area there, and then what I'll do is you should see a little bullseye in the middle of your circle. I'm going to click on this area here to copy it. Now, if I wanted to increase the area that I'm going to be cloning, again, I will hit the right bracket button to increase that, and I can actually change the opacity, the blend mode. I can do all kind of things by doing that here. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that there little part of the cloud, and now I'm going to add clouds all in this area here. So now I can add clouds, do anything I want to do, all by the clone stamp tool, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and undo that. So again, you can do that with the clone stamp tool. The healing tool is very awesome, actually. This tool works so well. I absolutely love this tool. So what I can do is, if you look very closely, there is a bush right here in this image. If I click on that bush, boom, that bush is now gone. So I'm going to go ahead and undo that and let you see that one more time. The healing brush takes away unwanted objects in an image. So I'm going to click that. That bush is now gone. So I can remove these two bushes right here as well. Click. Those bushes are now gone. Now again, it may not work exactly. You may have to come in and actually blur or smudge some of those areas there to actually make it work correctly. But again, guys, this tool is so great when trying to remove a cat who has photobombed your holiday picture, or an animal that's in a picture that you really don't want there. This is a great way of removing those unwanted objects. Next, we have our red eye tool. This is very self-explanatory. If you have a portrait image of a person or an animal that has the red eye, the beloved red eye effect in their eye, click on that and then take this little tool here and go to the eyes and click right in the pupil, and that will remove that red eye effect there. The magic eraser tool, this will pretty much do what the magic wand tool does. It'll take selections by just kind of guessing at what you want to select. So let's say I want to go ahead and select the sky. Again, the more I drag down, the tolerance goes up. The more I drag up, the tolerance goes down, okay? So that's selected that area there. I'm going to go ahead and deselect that, or I'm going to undo that selection. Blur and our sharpen tool. These tools are very self-explanatory. The blur tool will do what it says. As you see there, I'm blurring the clouds. That will blur an area of an image. And the sharpen tool will actually sharpen specific areas of an image. So if I click here, it's going to sharpen that look of the clouds. Next, we have our hand tool and paint bucket tool, which I added earlier. I'm not going to really explain those too much. The hand tool allows you to click and hold and drag if you have a large image to view different parts of that image. Now, the pen tool, if you click on it here, this is just like the pen tool in Photoshop or Illustrator. You click and then you click again, and if you hold and drag, it will actually curve the area here on the pen tool. So I'm going to go ahead and add that curve there. You can click and hold, and then I'm going to complete the drawing there and click and hold. So you can create all kinds of different shapes with the pen tool. So I'm going to move that shape around now, just like that. And with that, it's the pen tool. You can draw practically anything, whatever your imagination can do there. So that is the regular pen tool, and then the Freeform Pen Tool allows you to click in one area. And then kind of drag it the way you want. So it's kind of like a normal pen, like writing on paper. So I'm going to go ahead and undo those two things there. So if I wanted to draw some spiky things here, I can just click and hold, and I can do all that with the pen tool. This is kind of just like you would draw on paper. So you can do any kind of lines you want to do there. So I'm going to undo that. All that can be done with the Freeform Pen Tool. The last few tools, you have your type tool. That's how you insert text. You click on that, and then click and hold somewhere, and then boom, that'll be your text box. So I'm going to undo that now. Next, we have our shape tools. You click and hold on that. You have an option to choose from rectangle, ellipses, rounded rectangle, polygons, lines, and stars. Click and hold the one you want. Once you've got it, you can change the fill color up here, the stroke, as well as the shadow of that shape up top, and then you can actually click on shape settings, and you can bring those up over here, and you can adjust all types of details here as far as your shape, the stroke color, the shadow, the angle, all kind of things here in the shape settings. So that's how you add a shape. Next, we have our zoom tool. The zoom tool is fairly self-explanatory. You click on it and then left click on your project, and that will zoom into that area there. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom out. So click on zoom out up here in the upper left hand corner and zoom back out to view our normal project. Next, we have our eyedropper tool, which does the same thing it does in Photoshop. It will select a color and match it exactly. So I want this color right here. I click it. Now that color is up here in my upper left hand corner, and I can choose it to paint with. I can choose it to color an object in with it. So that is what that box does there. Again, the last thing I want to go over is the effects browser, which is down here. I'm going to drag it up here. You can add all types of adjustments within Pixelmator. One of the best features about this application is it gives you a preview of what that effect is going to do within the effects browser. So over here on the right hand side, I can actually make this a little bigger. It will show you what that effect will do in a sense. So black and white, it shows you if you change your object to black and white, your image, it'll change it to this. Sepia tone, the same thing. So this is all just color adjustments. I can go up here and go to distortion. It will then bring up the distortion. So it'll show me all of the stuff here that I will be adding under distortion. So that is the effects browser. So guys, this has been a basic rundown and overview of the design tools within the application Pixelmator. I hope it helped you out. If you have any questions, however, feel free to put those in the comment box below. I'll get to those as soon as possible. And as I release more videos about the application Pixelmator, about specific tutorials on specific tools, whether it be a text effect or an image effect within Pixelmator, I'll put all of those links in the description box below so you can kind of have them all in one place. Thank you so much for watching my videos. If this video helped you, go ahead and help me. Subscribe to my channel, hit the thumbs up button, share this video with all of your friends and family, and I will see you guys next time.